For years, you've heard the warnings. China's 91% dominance over rare earth refining, the strategic choke point, the Achilles heel of the U.S. military and economy. You've heard the problem over and over. Tonight, we are not here to repeat the problem. We are here to analyze the solution, because the debate is over and the race has begun. This isn't a story about dependency anymore. This is the story of the greatest supply chain race of the 21st century. It is a multi-billion-dollar, multinational race for the one thing that matters more than minerals: sovereignty. The question is no longer, are we dependent? The question is, what are we actually doing to get out? For the first time in 30 years, there is a tangible answer. While China's dominance seems unbreakable, a quiet, calculated, multi-billion-dollar plan is already in motion. In this video, we will show you the blueprint. We will analyze the solution. We will show you the actual projects being built right now. From the deserts of California, to the new industrial parks in Texas, and to the red earth of the Australian outback. This is the evidence of how America and its allies are rebuilding the rare earth supply chain from the ground up. The American home base. America's comeback story begins where it once ended, in the Mojave Desert in California. This is the Mountain Pass Mine. It's a name that might sound familiar. For decades in the 20th century, this single mine made America the world's #1 producer of rare earths. It was the source. But in the 1990s and 2000s, a flood of cheap, state-subsidized Chinese material made Mountain Pass unprofitable. The original owner, Molycorp, went bankrupt. For years, this symbol of American industrial might sat dormant or broken. Even when it was revived by the company MP Materials, it was only a partial solution. And this is the part most people don't understand. For years, MP Materials was doing the easy part, digging the rock. They would mine the ore, crush it, and create a concentrate. And then they would ship that concentrate to China for the final, difficult stages of refining. This wasn't a supply chain. It was a half step. It solved nothing. But as of mid-2024, that has changed. This is Project Phoenix. MP Materials has successfully brought online its Stage 2 facility. This is a massive, complex on-site separation and refining plant. It means that for the first time in decades, America is taking its own raw ore and processing it into separated rare earth oxides completely inside the United States. They have broken the first link in China's chain, the separation of light rare earths, or LREs. These are the elements vital for the electric motors in EVs. But they aren't stopping there. The problem with China's monopoly isn't just one step. It's the entire ladder. It's not enough to make the oxide. You have to make the metal, and then you have to make the final product, the magnets. This is Stage 3. Right now, with $35 million in funding from the U.S. Department of Defense, MP Materials is building a mine-to-magnet factory in Fort Worth, Texas. This facility will take the refined oxides from California and turn them into the finished, high-performance magnets that General Motors needs for its American-built EV motors. This is the vision, a fully integrated, made-in-America supply chain. From a hole in the California desert, to a finished magnet in Texas, to an electric vehicle in Detroit. Mountain Pass is no longer just a mine, it's a blueprint for America's industrial revival. The Texas Gambit. The comeback at Mountain Pass is a massive victory. It solves the light rare earth problem, the materials needed for EV motors. But the Pentagon, the F-35 fighter jet, the Tomahawk missile, the Virginia-class submarine, they run on something else. They require heavy rare earths, or HREs, elements like dysprosium and terbium, which allow magnets to function at extreme temperatures without failing. And in this category, China's monopoly is not 91%. It is closer to 99%. This is the true Achilles heel that we've heard about. And this is where the U.S. government is placing its biggest bets. The solution, once again, is in Texas. But this time, it's not an American company, it's an Australian one. Meet Lynas Rare Earths. Lynas is, by a huge margin, the largest producer of rare earths outside of China. They've been battling the Chinese monopoly for years from their base in Australia and Malaysia, and now the U.S. Department of Defense is funding their entry into America. In Seadrift, Texas, Lynas is building a first-of-its-kind facility in North America. It's not a mine, it's a complex chemical processing plant. It's one job to refine the heavy rare earths that are critical for national defense. And the Pentagon is all in. The Department of Defense has, as of early 2024, committed over $250 million to this single Texas project. This isn't a commercial investment. This is a matter of national security. The DoD is using the Defense Production Act, or DPA, to fund this. This is the same wartime law used to build tanks in World War II and produce vaccines during the pandemic. The Pentagon is officially treating the lack of these magnets with the same urgency as a shortage of bullets. Because they understand the problem isn't mining. The problem is the processing. This is the dirty work the West outsourced 30 years ago. It's a complex, toxic, and highly specialized field of chemical engineering. It involves a process called solvent extraction, using thousands of pipes and tanks to separate 17 elements that are chemically almost identical. China didn't just get ahead by digging, they got ahead by training 2 generations of metallurgists and chemical engineers. They mastered the science that the West forgot. This 10 to 15-year knowledge gap is the real choke point. And this Texas facility, funded by the DoD, is the first step in relearning that science on American soil. So the strategy becomes clear. California, MP Materials, is solving the light rare earth problem for the EV market. Texas, Lynas, is solving the heavy rare earth problem for national defense. The U.S. is methodically rebuilding its industrial muscle, but it is not doing it alone. The Allied front. The ultimate solution is not made in America, it's made by allies. This is the new doctrine in Washington, friendshoring. If you can't make it at home, you make sure your friends are making it, not your rivals. And in this race, America has 2 critical partners, Australia and Japan. Let's start with Australia. Australia is the world's most reliable source of non-China rare earth ore. We've already talked about Lynas, which ships its raw materials from the Mount Weld mine in Western Australia. But the alliance goes deeper. Look at Arafura Resources, another Australian company. They are developing the Nolans Project in the Northern Territory. This project is so important to the U.S. strategy that the Pentagon once again has announced its intent to help fund it using the Defense Production Act. The U.S. is securing the source, ensuring that Australian ore goes to American and allied refineries, not to China. This is the U.S.-Australia cooperation in action. It is a secure supply chain from a friendly democratic partner. This solves the first half of the problem, getting the raw materials. But you still need a market to sell them to. This is where the real financial engine of this entire strategy kicks in. The Inflation Reduction Act, or IRA. This law is the critical piece of the puzzle. The IRA provides a $7,500 tax credit for electric vehicles. But, and this is the key, you only get that credit if the minerals and components in the battery are sourced from America or from a country that has a free trade agreement. This is the financial weapon to fight China's monopoly. It makes minerals from China expensive because they disqualify you from the credit, and minerals from allies cheap because they qualify you. And that is precisely why the U.S.-Japan Critical Minerals Agreement, signed in March 2023, is so important. Japan doesn't mine rare earths, but companies like Hitachi are world masters at making the finished magnets. This agreement, tied to the IRA, allows Japanese car makers like Toyota and Honda to use materials from American or Australian mines, put them in their EVs, and still qualify for the $7,500 tax credit. It creates a closed-loop economic ecosystem for the allies. So let's assemble the new non-China rare earths supply chain. Step 1, mining and refining, done in Australia by Lynas and Arafura, and the U.S. by MP Materials. Step 2, magnet manufacturing, done in Japan by Hitachi and the U.S. by the new MP Materials Stage 3 plant. Step 3, the market, the U.S. and Japanese auto industries, GM, Ford, Tesla, Toyota, Honda, all funded and incentivized by the Inflation Reduction Act. This is how you break a monopoly, not with one mine, but by building an entire parallel allied ecosystem. The sober reality and the resonance point. The plan is brilliant, the plan is in motion, and the plan is working. But as a pragmatic optimist, I must also be a realist. This is not a quick, cheap, or easy victory. There are two hard truths we must accept. The first is the cost. The reason China dominates is because its state-subsidized industry and lax environmental standards made its product cheap. Made in America, or friend-shored, means paying a fair wage. It means abiding by the world's strictest environmental laws. MP Materials, for example, operates a closed-loop water recycling system so it doesn't contaminate the California desert. That is the right way to do it, but it is expensive. The tax credits from the Inflation Reduction Act are not just an incentive. They are a necessary subsidy to cover this green premium and allow Western companies to compete. The second hard truth is the time. As we heard in the original debate, this is a 10 to 15-year race. You cannot build a refinery in a weekend. More importantly, you cannot train a generation of chemical engineers in one presidential term. This is a marathon, not a sprint. It requires sustained, long-term political and financial commitment, year after year, administration after administration. So when we ask the original question, can anyone compete with China? For the first time in 30 years, the answer is a clear and verifiable yes. The blueprint is on the table. The alliance is in place. The projects are being built from the California desert to the plains of Texas and the Australian outback. A parallel, non-China supply chain is no longer a dream. It is a reality under construction. This is the blueprint for friend-shoring critical minerals. It is a case study in 21st century economic strategy. But rare earths are just one piece of the puzzle. In our next video, we will investigate the other critical dependency that could bring the U.S. economy to a halt: active pharmaceutical ingredients, or APIs. This is more than a race for minerals. It's a race for sovereignty. The West can rebuild its industrial independence. The evidence is clear. But the real question is, are we, as citizens, willing to pay the real price in dollars, in time, and in environmental standards for the sovereignty that we outsourced for 30 years? Thank you for watching. If this analysis provided value, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. We believe in understanding the real forces that are shaping your world.